Hi everyone. Happy Friday. It is nice to be here with you guys. I know that I wasn't here yesterday, but I woke up with something like on my heart and mind, and so I wanted to show up and talk to you guys specifically about some of the great books I've been reading that I recommend to you, and also how to read your books as like hands-on learners. Hi Siobhan, so happy you're here. So how to read books as like a hands-on learner and really help like retain the knowledge, but also leave yourself a path of success from your reading. So I think that this is going to be awesome. I have 5 book recommendations for you all, and so let's get into it. I'm gonna have some of my black tea. Okay, yay, I see all of you here. Little waves. All right, so why is reading important? Like, why do we always hear people talk about reading and have book recommendations and all of that stuff? Obviously, it's because we hear all the time, you are the 5 people you hang out with the most. And that can be really frustrating when some of us maybe don't have access to networking groups or mentors and things like that. So reading is a great way to kind of shortcut and like give yourself advantages when you don't have the same opportunities as other people who can make investments, who can be part of these groups and all of that. So, you know, books are what, $10, and we get access into the mind of all of these great successful people, their trials and errors, and then where they are now. So I personally feel like reading has helped me so much in terms of staying grounded, right? Like, so much is happening. We're in the day-to-day of our business, but reading really helps me like stay super focused on where I'm going, why I started, what I'm doing this for, and then obviously I get to learn from the mistakes of others versus feeling like I just have to keep winging it, making it all up, and everything like that. So what I have is one of the first books. So if you don't read any of the books, but you want to check one of them out, or if you want to know where to start with all these recommendations, the one I would start with, it just came out and it's called Cues. So Cues, okay? And this book is all about our body language and our facial expressions and how we communicate or accidentally don't communicate, you know, confidence, listening, instill trust, likability, charisma, all of that stuff, which as a business owner and in the service industry where you are really relying on having that connection with your clients so they are loyal, so they take your recommendations, so they actually take care of their hair and it grows to where they want it to. Our body language and our facial cues are actually so important in this process. And if you are someone, especially who feels like you're always getting misunderstood, or people tend to misinterpret what you're saying or what you're doing, then I really think you'll enjoy this book. But I think everybody would get a ton out of it. So that is my number 1 recommendation, is going to be, it's called Cues: Master the Secret Language of Charismatic Communication. Okay, it just came out by someone named Vanessa. And anyway, I'm in love with it. Totally check it out. It's super practical, hands-on things that can help make a better first impression, can help you in your consultation as the appointment is finishing up and you're ready to, you know, make their next appointment or close the sale with retail, all of that kind of stuff. It is really going to help you. Like, you know, different subtle signals that build trust, like showing your palms. So like waving and showing your palms actually helps psychologically, subconsciously build trust. Super cool things like that. So check that out. So the second book recommendation that I have for you, I highly encourage you read this, and not only read it, but like maybe revisit it regularly, is called The Gap and the Game, okay? The High Achiever's Guide to Happiness, Confidence, and Success. So The Gap and the Game. So this book, why it's in my top list, is just because, and listen, it's repetitive, it's simple. Like, I think sometimes we look at business books or mindset books and we're like, whatever, that's going to be boring or too complicated or whatever. But this book in particular is very simple, and it really is just about training ourselves to stay in an abundance mindset, stay in a wealth mindset. And it can be hard. I mean, listen, I know a lot of people are talking about how a recession is coming, and not to mention the past couple of years that we just went through. Like, there's a lot that we could focus on, but what we want to do is keep our mindset high, because when you have that wealth mindset, when you are in that space, you show up differently, you make different decisions, you take different risks. Like, there's just so much there. So the Gap and the Gain, I think, would be an awesome way to just maintain your mindset and make sure that you are not self-sabotaging, okay? Which I have another book recommendation for self-sabotage too, so stay tuned for that. So the third book that I'm recommending, so this sounds like a team book or a management book, which, yes, if you have an associate, if you're thinking of expanding into a larger team, it will help you. But even if you don't have a team, I still highly recommend reading it, because it will give you insight. If you are a millennial in particular, or a Gen Z, it'll give you insight into the struggles that others have with leading millennials, and how we are kind of viewed, the lens we're viewed from, and then also how we are changing for the better a lot of the landscape in the corporate world and just in business in general. So this book is called Not Everyone Gets a Trophy: How to Manage Generation Y. And what I love about it is that the title sounds like, oh, millennials just want trophies, but actually the whole book is about how millennials are completely understood, and we have to, as leaders, step up and think about business differently, because what millennials want isn't bad. It isn't unhealthy. It's actually great progress forward. And so we need to be adapting. So whether you have a team or not, I highly recommend reading that book. I think it's super insightful and can help you have really good conversations with people who maybe are stuck in that mindset and everything like that. So I love that one. So the fourth book that I recommend is called The Obstacle is the Way: The Timeless Art of Turning Trials into Triumph, okay? This book has so many good quotes in it and so many good studies. Like, I love when books are about mindset, but they include a lot of data, right? Like, this was tested at Harvard, or this has been, studied over a group of 1,000 people. Like, I really like that, because, we have information overload in 2022. Everyone is an expert and it can feel really confusing. So there's a lot of research in this book, but also just so many great quotes. I feel like I highlighted like everything out of it. So highly recommend this one. And as you can tell by the title, it's all about seeing our challenges, instead of seeing them as these super discouraging, terrible things that are happening to me. Why does it have to be so hard for me? It is actually really helping us use that to our advantage, using it and turning it into a strength so that we can keep the stamina to keep going. Because I'm sure, as many of you know, being a successful business owner is really only this much about talent, right? Like actually being good at hair or something like that. And it's mostly about having perseverance, having discipline, being able to show up and keep going when everyone else would give up, okay? So super, super good. The Obstacle is the Way. And I see Susan says, can you include a list of these books in your story perhaps? Susan, I might put them in my story, or I might include them in the caption so that you'll be able to see those titles. Absolutely, I want to make sure that you don't miss them. Okay, so the very last book that I'm recommending is more about our behavior with money, okay? So when I was early in my career and I was growing my clientele, I first of all, I never share this, so it feels uncomfortable, but I was regularly spending all of my money. It just would poof out of my life, right? Like, where did it go? What happened? Why can I not hold on to it? And I got into a lot of sticky financial situations. So what I love about this next book recommendation is that it is really showing you how to better think about your money, because a lot of how we handle money is mindset. It's how we were trained by, our parents, or it's how we overcompensate for our childhood, or all of these complicated subconscious things is how it comes up. So the name of the book is Stop Acting Rich and Start Living Like a Real Millionaire. And so it really talks about how actual millionaires live, like the actual lifestyle. Because we get it in our head, we see these famous, entertainers, we see these famous celebrities, and we kind of assume what it looks like, and we want to put ourselves in that place sooner rather than later. But this book really shows how most millionaires who keep their money, right, and who don't go bankrupt within 5 years of getting to be a millionaire, they live differently and they make really, really cool decisions. And I think it'll give you permission to buy into the, bougie lifestyle a little bit less. We have a consumer culture. It just is who we are. So it's like, how can you give yourself permission, let yourself off the hook for needing to have a BMW versus a Toyota and things like that. So this is really cool. I really loved it, and I just felt like it was a breath of fresh air in a culture that is so consumed with looking, having the latest things, trying to look super cool and everything like that. So those are the 5 books. I will be throwing these into the caption, or you can DM me for them. But now I want to talk a little bit about how to actually be reading in a way that is going to support you, right? So we are in like a multitasking world right now. We are typically listening to podcasts, like you might even be watching this video or listening to the podcast while you're doing dishes or making dinner, running errands, something like that. So we are constantly in a state of multitasking. So the best thing that I have found for me as a hands-on learner, as like a kinetic person who likes to touch things and feel things and hear things and like experience it, which I think a lot of the beauty industry is to actively take notes while you're listening to it or while you're reading it. So almost treating the book as an actual class. So sitting down, either having a notebook, or I honestly just keep notes in my phone. So I have like my Kindle I'm reading it on, and then I'll just open the notes and type a few notes. And you can put your phone on airplane mode so you're not tempted to like Google things or post something and then you're down a rabbit trail. So the first step is to actively take notes. So if you are maybe a highlighter, let's say, and you like to highlight quotes in a book, or on Kindle, you can do the same thing, you can highlight. What I want you to do instead is actually take time to write the quote out in the note on your phone or on a piece of paper where you're kind of compiling inspirational things. And any points that you see, again, taking a second just to write them down and then go back to reading. So this has been such a game changer for me, because now what I can do is go to that note on my phone. It's like 10 miles long, right? And all I'll do is I'll say like the initials of the book I'm reading and then the date, and then I'll take a few notes. Now, whenever I'm feeling that funk, whenever I'm feeling like discouraged or unsure what the way is forward, or why did I even do this, I could go to that note on my phone, and there are so many great quotes there that have touched me, that trigger, or remind me of like other concepts in the book, and it just helps ground me. And then also, whenever someone like my students or something are coming to me for advice, I also have these like beautiful quotes that I can share with them to hopefully inspire them. So this is how I kind of turned a book into something that's more hands-on, into something that's more kinetic. And as we know, when you write something down, you use a different part of your brain, and so whatever, it helps you remember it more. But doing this just really helped me make reading a little more active. So I'm not just getting bored. And then the last piece of that is, I think a lot of times when we think about reading, it's like having an hour in the sun on the beach or something like that, but don't underestimate the power of even 10 minutes a day reading, or whatever, like read in the bathroom, like I don't care, but it's like instead of reaching for your phone and scrolling, having that book to just read 2 pages at a time. This is how you're able to get through a ton more books than you think. So like, I don't spend hours and hours reading at all, but just doing 15 minutes a day at the most, I've read 12 books so far this year. So it adds up way faster than you think. So, you know, instead of being like, okay, well, I will need 45 minutes to read, so never mind, I'm gonna go do something else. Just pick it up, do it while your coffee is brewing or whatever, and I think it really helps you. So that is 5 books that I think independent stylists should check out, and then how to make reading a little bit more active and hands-on. I sincerely hope that you guys will check out these books because, like I said, when we aren't able to always access the resources, the mentors, the high-level friends that we would love to have that we know will help us grow, books are always there and they're super cheap, right? Like they are so affordable. So use your resources wisely and let me know how this goes once you dive in. Shaban says, I love this advice, Ren. Oh, well, good. I'm glad that it's helpful. I can't wait to hear what you end up reading. And also, why don't you guys go ahead and comment what you're currently reading or any books you've loved that you would love to share. Okay, Dollface says, I didn't hear the books. Crying face, are you going to post them? Yes, so I am going to share this video right when I jump off of here live in just a minute. So I would recommend going ahead and re-watching the video because I kind of give more insights versus a list, but then I will be putting the books in the caption too, so you'll be able to see them there. All right, you guys, I hope you have a beautiful weekend and I will see you very soon. Bye.